It is best practice to place the cassette box or boxes and track tube or tubes on sawhorses to open them up, inspect them, and proceed with the installation. Identify the top and bottom tracks. Remove the roller track insert from the bottom track. Center the bottom track in the opening. If you are installing the screen up against a door system, level the screen bottom track to match the already leveled door sill. You may choose to shim the screen bottom track up to be flush with the threshold of the door system. Properly shim, level, and fasten the bottom track of the screen using the provided attachment holes. Always place shims at or near attachment points. Use of a laser level is strongly recommended for this step. Properly shim, plumb, and fasten jamb A on either side of the rough opening. The top of either jamb will have the deeper milling detail. The bottom of either jamb will have the shallow milling detail. Secure the jamb using the provided attachment holes. 2 installers required for this step. Installer 1 grabs jamb B from the sawhorses. Installer 2 grabs the top track from the sawhorses. Installer 1 places the bottom of jamb B into the bottom track, the end of the jamb with the shallow milling, leaving the jamb leaned into the opening with plenty of clearance to insert the top track. Installer 2 carefully slides the top track onto the already installed jamb A, holding the top track to the top of the rough opening. Installer 1 slowly slides jamb B into the top track, making sure jamb B is centered within the top track. Now properly shim, level, plumb, and fasten both the top track and jamb B using the provided attachment holes. Remember to always place shims at attachment points. Once the entire screen frame is secured in the opening, it is important to take several measurements along the opening between the top and bottom track to make certain they are dimensionally consistent. If the tracks are separated or pinched, the operation of the screen system will be impacted. While still on the sawhorses, slowly unwind the cassette strings from both ends of the cassette. Be careful to keep the strings clear of dirt and debris and try not to step on them. View both sides of the screen cassette to determine which direction your cassette will operate. The cassette is directionally universal, however, the strings will be coming out of the cassette on the operational side, the side that slides back and forth in the opening. One end of the cassette will have a molding with wheels. This is the bottom of the operational side of the cassette. Place the bottom of the screen cassette into the bottom track first, at an angle towards the center of the opening, with the bottom wheel guide and the strings facing the center of the opening in the direction in which you want the screen to operate. Then slowly position the cassette into the top track and click it into what is now your retracted jamb where the screen cassette will collect. Use masking tape to temporarily secure the cassette to the retracted jamb so it does not fall out during the remainder of the installation. Take one frame string guide to the retracted side of the opening where the strings come out of the cassette. Place it near the top of the cassette and carefully place the strings in their dedicated slot in the guide. This step is important. The strings need to be properly aligned. Slowly slide the track string guide, keeping the strings in order, back towards the extended jamb side of the opening. With the strings correctly looped around the guide and untangled, place the guide back in the top track. Slide the string guide to the end of the track until it stops against the jamb and attach the string guide. Then untie the knot at the end of the strings and carefully pull on each string individually, making certain the strings are free and there is no slack in the cassette. Now loop the strings through the available end of the spring on the spring attachment assembly. Holding the assembly in position near the spring anchor hole in the track, tie the strings to the spring using a secure knot. Now, carefully loop the spring attachment assembly underneath the operational strings and attach to the spring anchor hole. Repeat this process for the bottom of the cassette. When the top and bottom are complete, inspect the strings along the top and bottom tracks and make certain they are not tangled or sagging. Then cut the excess string with about 1/2 inch remaining past the string knot. Reinstall the roller track insert into the bottom track. It will be necessary to lift the operational strings to slide the track underneath them. It will also be necessary to lift the cassette so the roller track can slide completely underneath the cassette. Remove the tape from the cassette. Have one person hold the cassette in place at the retracted jamb. Operate the cassette across the opening. If the screen operates freely, attach the cassette through the retracted jamb using the provided attachment hole near the center of the cassette. You will need to open the cassette and clear the mesh to expose the attachment point. You may need to massage the mesh so that all the pleats release while in the extended position.